Heyo! Welcome back to John Opens Stuff. I'm John. This is some stuff. I'm gonna open it. But I forgot to cut the foil, so I'm going to overcompensate real quick because it's what I could reach. Shut up. I like pointy things. There are pointy things stashed all over the office. What do you expect? I'm a redneck. Of course I got a lot of sharp objects just laying around. Alrighty, these are set boosters from Dominaria United. That means that you get a guaranteed foil and a guaranteed art card in every pack. And you may get a pack with multiple rares. So let's hope for that. Oh yeah, and there's a box topper in this set. And they glued it to this thing. Well, that's a pain. All right, let's see if we can open this without bending the crap out of the card. Probably not. There. Okay, we managed that much so far. I'm going to get this box topper open after all of this pain in the tuchus, and it's going to be hot garbage, and then I'm going to whine. Just wanted to prepare everybody, because I've met me. Okay, General Marhalt Dragon. Wow, that's rare. 2 red green legendary creature elf warrior. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, it gets +3/+3 until end of turn for each creature blocking it, and it is a 4/4. That is really pretty underwhelming. It's fine, but meh, doesn't blow my skirt up in any way. And I'm not wearing a skirt. No, I'm not. My kilt is hanging up somewhere. I'm in pajama pants. All right. Let's bust these bad boys open, shall we? I'm not necessarily doing the whole thing where I keep everything visible so that you know I'm not jimmying the packs, because for God's sake, I'm doing this stuff on YouTube for free. If I'm gonna rig packs, I'm gonna do it in something that'll get me paid. All right. Okay, so looks like these are packs made in Japan, maybe. Because typically with packs made in Japan, the token is up front. Or maybe I had my crap backwards. Also possible. Art card. The art cards are pretty. I love the art from Magic. I don't ever do anything with them, though. Foil is a land. Common, 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 common. Relic of Legends, we liked that. Founding the Third Path, we looked at that already in a previous video. Urtai's Scorn. Ooh, this is pretty good. This spell costs 1 blue less to cast if an opponent casts 2 or more spells this turn. Counter target spell. Okay. Wrath, Weatherlight Stalwart. White-blue. Human Wizard, legendary dude. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control. If you do, draw a card. 3 white, creatures you control gain +1/+1 and gain vigilance till end of turn, and it's a 1/3. Meh. A Johnny, sleeper agent. So, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about a Johnny. Johnny is historically one of the super duper good guys in Magic's lore, but now he's been corrupted or completed by the Phyrexians. So that's why you can use Phyrexian mana to cast him. So he's 1 green, white, and then 1 that's a hybrid green-white Phyrexian. That means you can pay a green, you can pay a white, or you can pay 2 life to cast this. It is a planeswalker, starts off with 4 loyalty. It's +1, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it on the bottom of your library. -3, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among up to 3 target creatures. They gain vigilance until end of turn. -6, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a creature or permanent spell, target opponent gets 2 poison counters. That ultimate is gross because it only takes 10 poison counters to kill an opponent. Temporary lockdown. Okay. 1 white. When temporary lockdown enters the battlefield, exile each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less until temporary lockdown leaves the battlefield. I can see how this could be really good. Not quite sure what kind of deck it's going to go into, because a lot of my decks use small permanents, so don't necessarily want to exile all my own stuff. But somehow that's how it be. Sometimes that's how it be. Swamp, pretty. Basic land, don't care. Common. Frost Fist. Oh, that's hilarious art. Is a big old frost giant. Has got a little dude. That's funny. 3 blue, ward 2, 4/4 elemental giant. When Frost Strider enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. If a permanent with a stun counter would become untapped, remove 1 from it instead. I really like this version of that mechanic. It's an old mechanic. Tap something and it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap phase. But this gives you a visual reminder, hey, that thing's stunned, it can't untap. And there are things that put more than 1 stun counter on things. So I like the stun counter mechanic. Inscribed Tablet. 1 colorless for an artifact. 1, tap it, sack it, reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put a land card from among them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand this way, draw a card. Seems alright, nothing great. Yosha Declares War. 1 in a red for a saga with read ahead. Chapter 1, create a 0/2 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying named Ornithopter. Chapter 2, tap any number of untapped artifacts you control. When you do, Yosha Declares War, deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker. Chapter 3, up to 1 target artifact you control becomes a creature with base power and toughness 4/4 till end of turn. Seems decent. Lagamos, Hand of Hatred. 1 black-red, legendary creature, human shaman. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Sack it at the beginning of the next end step. Tap to search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Activate only if 5 or more creatures died this turn. Alright, sure. Rada, Coalition Warlord. 2 red-green, legendary creature, elf warrior. Domain, when Rada, Coalition Warlord becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Not bad. 3/3. Academy Loremaster. 2 blue for a 2/3 human wizard. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player may draw an additional card. If they do, spells they cast this turn cost 2 more to cast. This is pretty interesting. I can see it being pretty useful, especially if you are playing a deck where you don't want to cast things on your turn. And got something like Vidalcan Orrery or Leyline of Anticipation out. Yeah, I can see that being good. And then Choking Miasma, kill a bunch of stuff, and then Dragon. Oops. Meh, it's pretty. It's good art, but doesn't blow my doors off. Combat Research, Fixed Curiosity, Micromancer, go get a cheap little thing. Runic Shot, 1 white, kicker, 1 blue. Destroy target tapped creature. If the spell was kicked, scry 2. It's fine. It's good for limited. Cult Conscript, 1 black for a 2/1. Cult Conscript enters the battlefield tapped, 1 and a black. Return Cult Conscript from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only if a non-skeleton creature died under your control this turn. Lame! Looping, reassembling skeleton, and sacking it and bringing stuff back is fun. I mean, I might jam it into a zombie deck or something, but 2/1 for 1 isn't really commander worthy. Najal. We talked about this guy already. Threats Undetected. Search your library for up to 4 creature cards with different powers and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Shuffle the chosen cards into your library and then put the rest in your hand. I can absolutely see that it's a sorcery speed, so it's kind of like a fixed intuition. Intuition's 2 and a blue at instant speed. Look for 3. You get 1 and the other 2 go into your graveyard. Well, what you always do with that is you pick 2 of the Eldrazi Shuffle Titans so that no matter what goes to your hand, they go to your graveyard and then you shuffle your graveyard back into your library. This is fixed, but I can still see me using this to go get an Ulamog and an Emrakul and a Kozilek and another gross big thing. Yeah, I can definitely see me using this to find a way to cheat out big stupid creatures. Vanquisher's Axe, it's fine. Meh. Painting of a soldier. Good painting of a soldier, but nothing I haven't seen a million times in Magic. Phyrexian Missionary. 1 and a white for a Phyrexian human cleric with a kicker of 1 and a black. Lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. But let's talk about power creep, kids, because this is a limited hoss. It's a 2/3 for 2 with lifelink. And then later on in the game, it gets even better. This card's gross for limited. Balduvian Atrocity we looked at, it's fine. Tatyova, Steward of Tides is fine. Yavimaya Coast, this is another pain land. Very pretty. The Elder Dragon War. 2 and 2 red for an Enchantment Saga with read ahead. Chapter 1 deals 2 damage to each creature and each opponent. That's pretty stout. Chapter 2, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards. Chapter 3, make a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. This is good. All of these modes are strong, and you can just jump to, if you're desperate for a creature, you can just pay 4 for a 4/4 flyer. That's good. Mossbeard Ancient Foil, and then Soldier Token. Yeah, all those tokens are going straight into the garbage because I don't use them, and every once in a blue moon, a token will get expensive, but it's pretty much never from a standard set. There's just too many cards printed, so I don't keep them. Ooh, now that's pretty. Is that the Braids thing? Braids, Arisen Nightmare. Yeah, that's pretty. Swamp. Urg, Spawn of Turg. We went over this before, and I'm just said it because I like the Pilfer. Ermagerd, I didn't even look at the art when this was played on me last night. 1 and a black, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. This is fine. It's a slightly worse Thoughtseize, but the art's hilarious. Bortuk Bone Rattle. 4 black green. That really, I can't tell what's supposed to be going on there, but man, that looks more like a Johnny than a troll. Whatever. Domain. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, choose target creature card in your graveyard, return that card to the battlefield if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of basic land types among lands you control. Otherwise, put it in your hand. It's okay. Nothing great. Cut down. This is actually great. There's almost always... It's an instant for 1 black, destroy target creature with total power and toughness 5 or less. There's almost always a really annoying creature that's stats only add up to 5 or less. Rona. A new Rona, Shieldred's Faithful. 1 blue, black. Legendary creature, human wizard, 3/4. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life. You may cast Rona, Shieldred's Faithful from your graveyard by discarding 2 cards in addition to paying its other costs. It's fine. Valiant Veteran, Soldier Lord. Runic Shot, Shiny Thing. Phyrexian Token, Garbage. That's pretty. That's fun. I don't know what the hell it is. Planes. Looks like a giant, big construct thing. I don't know. I don't keep track of the lore. There's only so much time in my life. Hurler Cyclops, medium. This guy's actually really good. Sprouting Goblin. 1 in a red for a 2/2 Goblin Druid with a kicker that's a green. When Sprouting Goblin enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, search your library for a land card with a basic land type, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Pay a red, tap it, sack a land, draw a card. There are so many things in this set that care about land types, lands in the graveyard. Ow, there's a cat clawing at my leg again. I paired this with Spirit of Windgrace in Draft, because whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you take a land from a graveyard and put it onto the battlefield tapped under your control. So I attack with the big guy, get a land back, eat it with this, draw a card. Ish gut. Rulik Mons, Warren Chief, Goblin Dude. Bortuk Bone Rattle, Troll Dude. Robaran Mercenaries. 3 and a white for a 3/4 human mercenary with vigilance. Robaran Mercenaries has all activated abilities of all legendary creatures you control. This thing could get really stupid in Commander. Haughty Djinn. 1 blue for a star 4 creature Djinn. Flying. Haughty Djinn's power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 colorless less to cast. Yeah. This guy's good. A blocker with a 4 bud is always decent. Sunbathing Root Walla in foil. Second Sunrise. Now this is on the list, which means it's reprints. This card's pretty strong. 1 and 2 white. For an instant, each player returns to play all artifact, creature, enchantment, and land cards that were put into his or her graveyard from play this turn. There are plenty of ways to break Second Sunrise. Plenty. Dragon Whelp. He got a little dragon on his shoulder. Isn't that cute? Mountain. Fires of Victory. 1 in a red for an instant with a kicker of 2 and a blue. If the spell is kicked, draw a card. Fire's Victory deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of cards in your hand. Yeah, that's fun. Phoenix Chick. For 1 red. For a 1/1 Phoenix with flying and haste. Phoenix Chick can't block. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may pay red. If you do, return Phoenix Chick from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking with a +1/+1 counter on it. It's just adorable. I mean, really. I don't think I'm ever going to play it, but it's super cute. I'd play it in draft. Nishoba Brawler, 1 and a green for a star 3 cat warrior with trample. Domain, its power is equal to the number of basic land types among lands you control. Yeah, it's fine. Jorah's Codex, 5 colorless. Artifact, Domain, pay 5 and tap it, draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each basic land type among lands you control. So if you're playing a 5-color deck, you can just pay 5 to get this out and tap it to draw a card. That ain't bad. Tori Davenant, Fury Rider. 1 red, white, legendary creature, human knight, 3/3, vigilance, trample. Whenever it attacks, all other attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Other red attacking creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. Untap each other white attacking creature you control. Okay. It's kind of like, I think, Aurelia War Leader that buffs red creatures in one way and white creatures in another. This is fine. Doesn't really... I'm not a big Boros player, so this isn't incredibly exciting to me. Rundvelt Horde Master. 1 and a red for a 1/1 Goblin Warrior. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Whenever Goblin Rundvelt Horde Master or another goblin you control dies, exile the top card of your library. If it's a goblin creature card, you may cast that card until the end of your next turn. This is making some waves in constructed tournaments. So I don't know if it's worth anything or not. Probably a few bucks. Pixie Illusionist. 1 blue for a 1/1 fairy wizard with flying, kicker, 3 and a green. If it was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. You can tap it, and target land you control becomes the basic land type of your choice till end of turn. Fine. Gobbo! So this is one of the signed art cards. They theoretically have value. I have yet to find anyone who wants to trade for them, but they're pretty. This is also really pretty. Prayer of Binding. Land. Duel. Sengir Connoisseur. Now this is a throwback because Sengir Vampire was in all the early sets and it was 3 black for a flying vampire. 3/3, whenever 1 or more creatures die, put a +1/+1 counter on Sengir Connoisseur. This ability triggers only once each turn. This is very similar to the stats and abilities of Sengir Vampire, but altered slightly. Decent. Territorial Morrow. 4 and a green for a star creature elemental. Domain. Its power and toughness are equal to twice the number of basic land types among lands you control. This could get as big as a 12/12. Or it could be very small. Choking Miasma. Balmor, Battle Mage Captain. 1 and a blue for a 1/3 legendary bird wizard with flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. I think this is decent in a commander deck, but most commander decks that are spellslinger types, thus having enough instant or sorceries to make this ability useful, they're not all that interested in actually attacking. So I don't know if it's going to see much play. Tura Kennerud, Sky Knight. 2 white, blue for a legendary 3/3 human knight with flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Again, seems fine, but typically decks with a ton of instants and sorceries, which is where you could really take advantage of this, don't use a lot of creatures. Thran Portal. Land. Gate. Thran Portal enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. As it enters the battlefield, choose a land type. It is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Mana abilities of Thran Portal cost an additional 1 life to activate. There's some excitement around this card, and I haven't figured it out yet. It seems decent, but I haven't figured out why people are hot over it. This is cool. Smash to dust. 1 in a red. Blow shit up. Token. Round file. Vodalian Mind Singer. Huh. It's a diva merfolk. Or a merfolk diva. That's hilarious. Love it. I like it when Magic doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a freaking card game. Zar Ajonin, Scion of Ephrafa. See, that just sounds pompous. 3 green white for a legendary 4/4 cat warrior. Domain, whenever it becomes tapped, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with toughness less than the number of basic land types among lands you control. I got my ass stomped by this card last night because it was a tokens deck. So they were coming out as 1/1s, and then as soon as this guy attacks with them, they're 2/2s or 3/3s. Yeah, it is stronger than it looks. Tori Diavenant. We talked about Tori already. Knight of Dawn's Light. 1 and a white for a 2/2 human knight with first strike. If you would gain life, you gain that much life +1 instead. 1 and a white, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Yeah, it's fine. And Knight of Dusk's Shadow. So this is the black knight and white knight of this set. Urg, spawn of Turg. Squee! Dubious Monarch. 2 and a red for a 2/2 legendary creature Goblin Noble with haste. Whenever Squee! Dubious Monarch attacks, create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. You may cast Squee! Dubious Monarch from your graveyard by paying 3 and a red and exiling 4 other cards from your graveyard rather than paying its mana cost. I don't know. I kind of like the other squeeze better, but it's fine, I guess. Shadow Prophecy. Really pretty art. Domain. Instant. Look at cards. Put 2 of them in your hand. Rest in your yard. Lose life. All right, last pack, and then we're going to split this video because I'm hungry. Oh, Liliana of the Veil by Braum. Now, we haven't seen Braum art in Magic for years, so it's exciting to get new Braum art. Also, it's Liliana, and it's gorgeous. Admittedly, a little bummed they didn't get Steve Argyle to do Lily, but I think Steve's doing just fine. Pretty Plains. Actually, I know Steve's doing just fine. I just saw him at Dragon Con and bought some stuff from him. Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Balmor, Battle Mage Captain. We talked about those. Battlewing Mystic. 1 and a blue for a 2/1 bird wizard with flying and kicker of a red. When Battlewing Mystic enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, discard your hand, then draw 2 cards. Now, this card can be great, especially if you play it when you don't have any cards or you just have crap in your hand. So this is fine. Also, it's got a hammer, so it's like Battlewing Thor. Yeah, it's fine. Elias Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim. We talked about this guy, very aristocratsy. Joda the Unifier. Wooburg to cast for a 5/5 legendary human wizard. Legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. When you cast a legendary creature, a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. I think I'm building Legends Tribal after this, because this is pretty hot. I like it. I want it in foil. Basically, if any card I have that I like the art on, I want it in foil. And I like that art. Drag to the bottom. 2 black, domain, each creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is 1 plus the number of basic land types among lands you control. So, absolute worst case, it's 2 black for all creatures get -2/-2, because if all you have is swamps, then there you go. But best case, it's all creatures get -7/-7. I don't think you're seeing that very often. Heroic Charge, also a card that kicked my ass last night. I lost a lot last night, in case you can't tell. So we're going to stop there for a minute so I can get lunch and pee and play with the cats. But until next time, peace.